Picture this. You're pulled over after dinner. The cop thinks you're drunk. What does the law in Florida require the state to prove for a DUI conviction? Today, I'm going to break down the jury instructions, which are the exact rules that jurors hear in every Florida DUI case. Let's dive deep into the elements of DUI. The very first element is driving or actual physical control of a vehicle. So let's define what the word vehicle means. Under Florida law, a vehicle is basically anything that can transport a person or property on the road. So we're talking cars, trucks, motorcycle, scooters, even bicycles and golf carts. Now let's talk about the definition of actual physical control of a vehicle. And these are the type of cases where you're sitting in the car with the keys and you are readily capable of operating the motor vehicle. You don't have to be driving down the highway to be guilty of DUI in this situation. If you're sitting in the driver's seat with the ability to start and operate the car, like having the keys in the ignition, you're considered an actual physical control. Now, element 2 is under the influence of alcohol, chemical, or controlled substances. So, of course, we all know that DUI involves alcohol, but it can also be a DUI if you're high on weed, if you're high on cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, all the illegal drugs, and prescription medication. Now, in a different video, I'll talk all about how prescription medication DUI defense, when you have a great lawyer that knows what they're doing, is actually pretty easy to defend and very difficult for the prosecutors to prove. But that's a whole nother video for a different day that we'll link up in here. Okay. So far we have element 1, which is driving or actual physical control. We have element 2, which is under the influence of alcohol, chemical, or controlled substances. Now we're going to move into element 3, which is your normal faculties have to be impaired. So let's talk and break this down piece by piece. So first we have normal faculties. The law gives a definition of normal faculties. It's the ability to see, hear, walk, talk, judge distances, make decisions, basically your everyday actions. The problem with this, which we talk about for days and it's in my book, but that police officers often confuse average with normal. Okay? They don't take the time to get to know what your normal is. They just judge it against this fictitious normal person. Well, none of us is this fictitious normal person. And when the cops have 5 to 20 minutes to get to know you, and really, they're not even getting to know you, they're just walking through a script, everybody's going to get arrested. It's very easy for them to go, yeah, you don't look normal to me, right? While you're scared, terrified, etc. All these things. And again, I'll go deep on that in another video. Then the next part of this is impairment. The legal definition of impairment is a diminishment in some material respect. So you don't have to be drunk to be DUI. You just have to be impaired by the alcohol. And the way I equate this is always, well, if your normal level is here, this is where you're at 100% functioning, and you have one drink, one beer, one, glass of wine, whatever, and you're now functioning at 95% of your normal capacity. Well, that's still an A in every single school that I know of. But according to the law for DUI, that 5% is diminished because of the alcohol, then you're guilty. And that's the way the officers are trained. So that's why I bring this knowledge to you guys, so that way you know, so we can defend it. Okay. So when you say to the police officer, I've only had 1 or 2 beers, I'm not drunk. Well, most of the time the cops think people lie to them about how much they've drank. And even if you are telling the truth, well, according to the law in Florida, you can be impaired or diminished in a material respect by 1 or 2 drinks. So that's not going to help you on the side of the road. Now, the last element, and this is an or, so it's normal faculties impaired or a breath alcohol level of 0.08 or above at the time you were driving. Now, here's a key part. It has to be at the time you were driving. Well, guess what? Most people don't give breath tests until an hour to 2 hours after they were driving. And even if there's a breathalyzer on scene, meaning one of the DUI specialists roll up in their SUV with the Intoxilizer 8000 there, that's still 20, 30, 40 minutes after you were driving. In fact, the police officers have to have what's called a 20-minute observation period. So it's literally impossible for them to give you a breath test at the time you were driving. So it's impossible for the prosecutors to prove that you were over 0.080, the legal limit, at the time you were driving. We'll do another whole video on that. Again, All of this is in my book as well, which we'll link up. It's a free download that, we want to give everybody as much information of this stuff as possible. So those are the 4 elements of DUI. So we'll recap the whole thing. Element 1 is driving or actual physical control of a vehicle. Element 2 is under the influence of alcohol, chemical, or controlled substances. Element number 3 is to the extent that your normal faculties are impaired. And element 4 is or a breath test over 0.080. Those are the 4 elements of DUI. You need to be safe. You need to take care of yourself.